President Trump wants the Middle Eastern powers to do more to tackle extremism. His speech later this afternoon will have a contrasting tone to his message on the campaign trail. Of course, that Islam hates us. Chris Doyle is from the Council for British Arab Understanding. Good to see you, Chris. He faces a little bit of an uphill challenge, doesn't he, persuading the assembled leaders of 50 majority Muslim nations that he doesn't hate Islam, but instead wants to work closely with them.
Given the rhetoric in his election campaign and all that he said about Islam, and remember, of course, it's he who actually issued that statement in writing that he wanted to introduce a complete and total shutdown of Muslims entering the United States. And he tried to do something similar, if not the complete ban.
Chris, can we just pause just for a second? I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but in fact, we can hear from the man himself, who's not necessarily giving a speech, but certainly opining. Let's have a quick listen in.
I would like to mention about our bilateral relations.
Told that he was just referring to the trade deals signed with the Saudis, $300 billion worth of them. The type of thing that Donald Trump likes to talk about, increasingly viewed as something of a transactional president, his assembled staff. I just want to bring Chris Doyle in, and let's start on that topic there. I mean, for Donald Trump, in political terms, he can step away from this meeting with the Saudis with a big smile on his face. Ultimately, he can go back and say, jobs, money, this is what I'm going to be doing for the United States.
Domestically, this is huge for him. I mean, these huge deals with the Saudis, but also he's meeting with the Emir of Kuwait there. He's had bilaterals with the President of Egypt, with the King of Bahrain, and he's attempting this reset of relations because, indeed, those countries had a pretty rocky relationship with President Obama. So Donald Trump is coming along to say, we can do deals, and they are welcoming him, partially because that he is not Obama, also because he has a tough line on Iran. And, crucially, he's not going to mention the elephant in the room, which is human rights. All of those countries have had a lot of criticisms of their human rights records, and he's made it quite clear he's not interested in that one bit. He's not going to be raising these issues, and that would be a spoiler to those relations. So he goes back home and he's going to deliver what he promised a lot of his core support base, that he's going to get jobs, jobs, jobs.
Still, but in terms of the quid pro quo that he is asking for, the assistance in the fight against terrorism, the nuance that he wants to display in terms of this is not a clash of civilizations, instead it's good versus evil, I won't interfere in your religion, but you have to sort it out. I mean, don't the leaders of Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, for example, don't they have an interest in joining the United States' fight against Islamic State?
Well, they would argue that actually they're already very much part of the anti-ISIS coalition, and in terms of what's going on in Iraq and Syria, they certainly are signed up to that. So there's a lot here that's already happening, and for those countries, they do see such extremists as a threat. But this has actually got all the signs and hallmarks of George Bush era language, of good and evil and so forth. It's not any real step change forward that we can see so far, because the difficulty is not getting states around the table to all agree that they're going to fight ISIS or Al-Qaeda. The difficulty is actually what the strategy they're going to adopt. Now, it simply does not work solely to resort to military force. This is what we're seeing at the moment with Syria and Iraq, and Donald Trump has increased the American presence, increase the American military footprint there. But where is the overall strategy that's going to make these groups irrelevant, take away their support, cut their funding? On this level, we haven't seen any nuance whatsoever. And I think that if it was any other presidents, we wouldn't be talking about nuance right now. It's just a little bit of a surprise when Donald Trump actually goes a little bit deeper into some of these issues. So there's a long way to go for him to build up credibility. And whilst the leaders may like him, not all of them, by the way, in the broader Islamic world, they see a president who they don't trust actually respects Islam. And they also, like so many other people, even in Britain, see an anarchic White House, a White House unable to deliver.
And the age-old suspicion of America in general, of course, as well. We always like to hear Donald Trump in his own words. If my director Alan has got it ready, I'd like to play that now. Yeah, let's have a listen.
It's a great honour to be with the Emir of Kuwait, and a special person, a person I've gotten to know very well. They buy tremendous amounts of our military equipment and they invest in the United States. And that's what we like to hear. We like to hear about jobs, jobs, jobs. And they are spending a lot of money on the new planes, including the Boeing F-18, which you like very much, which I like very much also. And we appreciate all of the investment that you make in the United States and all of the jobs that you create. Thank you. Thank you.
Jobs, 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 jobs. Yeah, he likes jobs, doesn't he? Chris Doyle, thank you very much for joining us. That's Chris Doyle from the Council for British Arab Understanding.